Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. A huge shout out to all my amazing subscribers. If you are new here, don't forget to click the red button below to subscribe. In these tutorials, we'll be learning how to make a shawl collar wrap top with side drapes. So let's dive into today's video. Using a 2.5 yards of silk fabric for this tutorial, so I'll be drafting it on a pattern paper. The pattern paper is on a fold, so the first measurement I took was 6 inches. From this point I took 6 inches. That will be our collar neckline. Then I'll be taking the neck width, I'll be using 4 inches. Then I'll take the neck depth, I'll be using 3.5 inches. Then the next measurement I'll take is the shoulder width. I'm using half of the shoulder width is 8 inches. I added half an inch for seam allowance. Then I took 1 inch for shoulder slope and I connected it to the neck width. Then from the shoulder slope I'll take the chest line. I'm using 8 inches. Then I'll mark it out. Then from this main line I'll take the waist is 17 inches, so I'll go ahead and mark it out. The next measurement I'm going to take is the full length. The full length I'm working with is 25 inches. I'm adding 2 inches for seam allowance. That's 27 inches. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect all my lines horizontally. Then I'll be taking the shoulder line on the chest line, and I have 8.5 inches, so I've marked it out. Then I'll come up by 3 inches for the armhole. Then from this point I'll take the bust circumference. The bust circumference is 38 divided by 4 to give me 9.5. I'm adding 2 inches for seam allowance. And I'll take the waist. The waist is 32 divided by 4 will give me 8. I'm adding 2 inches. I'll repeat the same thing on the hip. The hip is 42 divided by 4 will give me 10.5. I'm adding 2 inches for seam allowance. I'll go ahead and connect all the lines. Then afterward, I'll come in here by 0.75. Then I'll connect it with a slant line to the shoulder width. Then I'll connect the armhole like so. So what I did, I used the front pattern to cut out the back. I cut it out exactly. The only difference is the armhole. The armhole is half an inch wider than the front panel. So I'm reshaping the front panel because I did not cut it out earlier. So I'm reshaping it so that it will be different from the back armhole. Like I said, I used the front panel to cut out the back. So this is the full length. That's the basic bodies. So what I did, I added extra 2 inches because I forgot that we are going to have an asymmetric style on the front. So I made it 28 inches and I added extra 1 inch. That's 29 inches. So now I'm going to take the shoulder to under bust. I need it as a guide for the style we are making. So I'll mark it out. So having done that, I'll be taking on the neck width here, I'll be taking a slant line to the under bust line here. So I'll connect it this way with my ruler. From the neck width, I'll connect it to the end of the under bust line. Now on the neck width here, I'll take a slant line upward by 4 inches. I'm using the neck width. The neck width is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So I'm placing the 4 inches here for our collar neckline. So I place the 4 inches here. I'm adding extra half an inch for seam allowance. I'm using 4.5 inches. Then on this side, I'll take a horizontal line by 3 inches here. So I'm adding extra half an inch also. That will be 3.5 inches for our collar. Then I'll connect it all the way to the under bust line here. So I'll be using my hip curve ruler to achieve that. So I'll go ahead and shape it this way. I'll connect it to the under bust line. So we have this for our collar. Now it's going to have a drape on the front panel. So I'm going to divide what I have here to the waistline. So I have about 3 inches. I'll just mark 1 inch on each side to give me a 3 inches. So on this other part on the shoulder line, I'm going to divide what I have here. I have about 1.5 inches here. I also take another 1.5 inches on this point here. So I'll go ahead and connect it to the waistline like this. So we are going to do a slash and spread method on this line I am taking. I'll be explaining that later. So afterwards, we'll be cutting this out. Then on the center point here, as you can see on the screen, it has like an asymmetric style on the front. Remember, I took 28 inches on the full length, so that is what we'll be using it for. Then the real length I'll be using for the dress is 24 inches. So from the waistline, I'll just take 4 inches. So that will give me 24 inches for the dress. So I'll be explaining this later. Then on the center line, I'll come out by, let's say, 2 inches. Then from this point, I'm going to take a slant line from the waist to this point here, to this 2 inches mark. So I'll be using my ruler to connect it this way. I'm using a broken line as a guide. So afterwards, I'm going to create another curve here on this blue line. I'm going to take another curve to meet this one here. So I'll just use my free hand to do that. This is just to help me know what I'm cutting out. So I am supposed to take this to the full length. So I'll just take a straight line. Then I'll connect it this way with my ruler. I'm connecting it to the blue line. So what I'm going to do, I'll just reshape it because I don't like that it's just too straight. So I'll just make a little curve. So like I said, the length is 24 inches. Is the same as the back panel. So the back panel is 24 inches. So now the next thing I'm going to do, on this part here, I'm going to create another curve. I'll be using a red marker to do that. Remember, the front has 2 panels. It's an overlap. So this is the first overlap. To achieve the second overlap, I'm going to make another curve from this point. So I'm marking it on the exact length to the other side. So this is going to be the second overlap. That is the left side. So this other side is going to be where the drape will be, and the second part will not have drape. So I've marked it out and I've attached another pattern paper. I'll be tracing exactly what I have here. That is this red mark I made last. I'm going to trace this out on another pattern paper to cut out the second panel on the front. I hope you understand. So I'll be tracing the collar also, like so. Then I'll make a little correction here. So the second panel is a little bit different. So from this point, I'll take my marker and connect it from this red line. I'll connect it to meet the waistline here. So I'll be tracing it exactly like this for the second panel. So you understand when I cut it out. So I'll just trace it exactly and show you. So I'll open it up. So this is what we have after tracing it. So I'll cut this part out and show you. So this is the second panel. This will be the left panel. I hope you understand. So now I'll come back to the main panel. That's the first panel. It will be our right panel. So I'll be using this. I'll not be using this red line. I'll be using this blue line to cut out the right panel. So I'll just follow the exact mark I have here to cut it out. So we have this. When you fold it like so, we'll have something like this. So as you can see, the asymmetric style is on the right panel. So we have this. So I'll make sure it's on the under bust, like so. I'll be pinning it up. So this is the right and the left panel. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'll be placing it on the fabric exactly like this. I'm not adding seam allowance. So I'll place it and show you how to do the slash and spread. So I've placed it on the fabric. So this is the right panel. So what I'm going to do, I won't be cutting this line on the collar. I won't be cutting the collar line. I'll start by cutting this second line. So I'm thinking of leaving this other line because I don't want it to be too wide. So I'll just cut from this point here and I'll stop before the end of the shoulder. So I'll mark it. I'll make sure I have around maybe 3 inches. So I'll secure it with a pin. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll mark 3 inches and also secure it with a pin. As you can see, I didn't touch the shoulder. So I'll just cut it exactly like this. My table is too small, so I'll cut it and show you. So I've done that. I've notched where I'll be pleating. So I notched the end of each side. So this is the right panel. I also went ahead to cut out the left panel. The left panel doesn't have any opening, no slash and spread on the left panel. Then I also cut out facing for the dress, for the collar. So I marked what I have here and I traced it out to cut out another facing. So this is what I cut out. So I traced what I have here. I marked it out and traced exactly what I have here. To cut out facing, I'll be using to turn the collar. So I've gone ahead to cut out the collar on another fabric, and I also added interfacing to it. So I cut it out exactly. So I'll be using it to turn the collar. You understand later. So this is our front panel. So this is the left panel and this is the right panel. So this is the part I'll be pleating here like this. So I'll secure it with a pin. I'm just showing you what it will look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to turn the dress with the facing. So I'll place good side to good side here, like so. I'll place it this way. Then I'll be sewing it from the beginning here. I'll just secure it with a pin. Then I'll be sewing it by 1/4 inch all the way to the end here. So after doing that, I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll place the good side to the good side. I'll also be sewing it by 1/4 inch all the way to the end, and I'll do that and show you. So guys, I've done that. I've joined the left and right panel with the facing. So I stitched it by 1/4 inch. So we have this. I also went ahead to iron it. So this is the second panel. I repeated the same thing, and this is the facing on the dress. I hope you understand. So I'll be opening it up. This is the neckline, that is the collar neckline. I'll place them together good side to good side, and I'll sew it by 1/4 inch. I'll do that and show you. So guys, I've done that. I've stitched it by 1/4 inch. So we have this. So this is the neckline here, and this is the shoulder. This other side is the shoulder. So we have something like this. Then this is the back panel. I've also gone ahead to cut out the back panel on the fabric. And at the same time, I cut out facing for the back panel. So this is the back facing. I added interfacing to it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll be joining the back and front together on the neckline. So to achieve that, I've gone ahead to notch the neckline. So this is the center point of the front. I'm placing it on the center back. I hope you understand. So I'll place them together. So I'll be sewing it here on the neckline, and I'm going to stop at the end of the neckline here. So I'll be sewing it to meet this sharp edge here. So it's going to end on this sharp edge. After doing that, I'll turn it over and sew the shoulder. I hope you understand. So what I did here, I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So I'll just pin it up and show you. So this is the other side. So I'll make sure I sew it when I stop at this sharp edge on the neck. That's the end of the neck. I'll turn it over and sew the shoulder. I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch. So I'll just secure it with a pin. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll secure it with a pin before I take it to the sewing machine. So this is the front and back panel. So I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch. So this is the front and back panel. So what I did on the front and back panel, I'll do the same thing on the facing. So this is the back facing, and this is the back facing, and this is the front facing. So I'll pick the center point, make sure it's aligning on the neckline. I'll sew it and stop at this sharp edge. Then I'll turn it to the shoulder. So I'm repeating what I'm doing on the main fabric. I'm repeating it on the facing. So guys, I've done that. This is the good side. So this is the front and back panel. I've stitched it on the neckline and I stitched it on the shoulder, as you can see. So what I did here, I repeated it on the facing. So this is the facing, this is the shoulder, and this is the neckline. So this is where I stitched by 1/2 inch. So after I stitched it, I gave it a good press. So this is the collar. This is where I ironed. So this is the left and this is the right panel. So this is the collar. So I'll just go ahead and pleat this part here on the underboss. So I'll pleat it. That is the part we did the slash and spread method. So I'll make sure the collar is on the underboss. Then I'll make sure this other side, this other panel is on the under bust also, like this. Remember, it's an overlap dress, so I've made sure to secure both sides. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I will be pleating this part that we have our drape. I'll be pleating it to meet the collar like this. So I'll secure it with a pin. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. This part that I've notched, I've already notched where the pleats are going to be. So I'll just go ahead and pin it up. So we have something like this. So what I'll do next, I'll be securing it with a stitch. I'll top stitch that part. After top stitching it, the part I held with a pin, after top stitching it, I'll join the front and back together. I'll be sewing it by 1.5 inches here all the way to the full length. Remember, I left 2 inches for seam allowance, but I'll be sewing it by 1.5 inches. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Sew it by 1.5 inches, then I'll show you when I'm done. So I've sewn the side seam. So this is the pleat. So this is the other side. As you can see, the other side doesn't have any pleat. So we have something like this. It's a silk fabric, so it's a little bit free because of the texture of the fabric. It's a little bit free. So this is the back and this is the front. So I'll just arrange it properly. Then I'll be fixing the sleeve. So I'm making a long sleeve with elastic. It's going to have a pleat on the shoulder. So I marked 6 inches from the top point here. I marked it and the full length is 23 inches. I added 2 inches for seam allowance. That's 25 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just slant it this way from this point to the center front. Then I'll get the midpoint of this slanted line. So I think it's around 6 inches. Then I'll come in on this midpoint by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to use my armhole curve on the top point. I'll curve it like this to the 1/2 inch mark. Then I'll turn it over and curve it to get our sleeve. That's our armhole. Then the next thing I'll do, I'll take the armhole round. The armhole round is 16 divided by 2 to give me 8. I'm adding extra 4 inches for seam allowance, and on the full length the wrist round is 8 inches. So I'm also adding 4 inches because it's going to have a little pleat on the sleeve. It's a free sleeve. So I'll connect it. So I'll cut it out and I'll place it on the fabric and I'll show you. So I've done that. I cut out 2 sleeves. So I cut it exactly like what I did on the pattern paper. So we have this. So I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch on the sides. Then I'll be attaching this elastic to it, but I'll show you how to do that later. So I'll go ahead and sew it and show you. So guys, I've done that. I've sewn the side seam by 1/2 inch on the sleeve. So I've cut out the elastic. I used my wrist round. The wrist round is 8 inches and I made it 7.5. I stitched it by 1/2 inch. I'll be attaching it to the sleeve, that's on the hemline. So I'll place it this way like this. Then I'll double fold it like so. I'll double fold it. Then I'll be sewing it all the way round. I'll make sure it's inside the fold. Then I'll sew it round and I'll show you. So I'll fix the elastic to the sleeve. This is the easiest way to fix your sleeve. You just stitch it round, then you sew it inside. So now I'll be attaching it to the armhole. So I'll make sure I pick the 2 side seams. I'll make sure they align like so. Then I'll turn it over to the good side. So I'll be sewing it round. So I'll sew it round. I have excess. Remember, I told you I wanted it to have some pleats. So I have excess. I'll be pleating it on the shoulder. So I'll make sure I pleat it all the way on the shoulder. I'll sew it round and I'll show you. So I've done that. See, this is the pleat and this is the other side. So this is the elastic on the sleeve. I've also gone ahead to iron it. So I've also hemmed the lower part. I hemmed it by 1 inch. So I hemmed even the asymmetric part. So I'll be taking it to the weaving machine and I'll weave this part. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, comment and share. Thanks for watching guys, and see you in my next video.